And now, coming to you from the Pensado Media Center, powered by Westlake Pro.
From Run the Jewels to Disney, you'll meet the beast from Brooklyn. Bet the sound people freaked out during the Oscar flub. We'll talk about that. Brand new ITL from the Master Blaster. You're at the place. It's Pensado's place.
Wow. I wish you guys could have been here a little earlier. Maybe we can figure out a way to do that next week. Hey, thanks for dropping by. You picked a great week to drop by. Herbert, how's your week been so far?
Pretty good. A little crazy, but they seem to be all crazy.
So normal.
Yeah, exactly. Normal week. Shall we get on with it?
Let's do it.
Hey, gang, great to be hanging with you. Hope your week was bountiful. Thanks, mucho, for your likes and subscribes. We certainly appreciate it.
Yeah.
And as always, thanks to our fantastic partners. They are the Blackbird Academy, Avid, Westlake Pro, DTS, Recording Connection, Lander, Fab Factory, and Studio 202 DC. By the way, if you are interested in learning, and learning is the key to you making a living, listen up. April and July classes are open at the amazing Blackbird Academy, and they are taking registrations. Live sound engineering classes also open. That's a real sweet spot for jobs and making good dough. If you have VA benefits, the Blackbird Academy can accommodate those. And obviously, you know by now, international students have a place that works at this incredible school. Go to their site, blackbirdacademy.com, or email Karma Banstra, whose last name has probably changed now because she just got married. But you can email Karma at karma@theblackbirdacademy.com for more info. Mention Pensado sent you. Now remember, this is the #2 school ranked in the audio education world in the United States. It's an amazing place, amazing teachers, all who care. The reason we talk about them so much is because you will get results and your career will change. So go do that. Don't you agree?
I was about to say, amen, brother.
There you go. Absolutely.
I can't wait to go back down.
Me too. Us too. We love it. And Nashville is
my favorite.
Going to really affect you. Now let's meet the happy Hungarian with a haircut and a hand roll.
Damn.
He goes by the name of
Hey, Herb, I don't know if you noticed, but IK Multimedia stock dropped last night.
Oh.
He had like $1,800 worth of sushi on those guys.
What Dave's alluding to is we had dinner with a potential sponsor, which we're really excited about.
Yeah.
There were about 6 of us at a sushi dinner.
Yeah.
We left and went home, and Chungor was still there. The owner called and asked us to come back and get him, and he was plowing through that. Remember, he's unhealthy. He was doing that. Healthy, the restaurant would have closed. Anyways, you're feeling better, apparently.
I'm feeling great.
Yeah.
That's good.
There was so much sushi on that desk, that.
Well, my favorite one was sitting right in front of him, and like we would be, I look at it, and I'd look at him, and he'd be like fixed on it, so I'd back off, you know.
He gets a little predatory.
But I had a trick. I'd say, could you help me, man? Could you, I get a piece of that? And he'd hand it to me, and then I'd take the good piece, put it back in front of him.
Chongor.
Oh yeah, you got slick.
The sushi psychology.
What was that called that we ate?
I don't know, some scallop.
Like lobster surprise or something, because it had lobster on top.
So I have a question for you audio folks. We had this Oscar flub, which I actually thought humanized and thought was cool.
Yeah.
But it struck me that the sound people had to be freaking out, don't you think?
Man.
I couldn't even imagine what they were going through. The headsets are probably going crazy.
I mean, I'm going to try to get to them and get somebody on the show, because think about all the different sort of, you're about to close, it's the last thing, you know what mic's going to be open, you've gotten through the whole show, and then chaos. You got stage managers, and who do you cue and who do you not, and other groups coming, and like, it had to be madness.
Yeah, I had a little touch of that. Ron Fair asked me to do sound for Christina and the girls at the Grammys for Lady Marmalade. And right before Christina was about to come on, the mic wasn't working. And so we were communicating like crazy. I lost years of my life. I made the mistake of asking somebody in the truck, how many people are watching this?
Ooh, pressure.
And
Pressure.
You know, the recording gods have smiled on me in the past, and they smiled on me again. Next thing you know, her mic's working, and
Thank God. Thank God.
But it's chaos. It's chaos.
All right, so Chungar, we got to get to the Oscar people and get them on the show. We
Let's
want
do
to
it.
find out.
Let's get them.
You and Dave have been busy with ITLs. Is that correct? You shot a bunch.
Yeah, we got a bunch of ITLs for you guys. You're gonna love them.
ITLs.
I did 800. Yeah.
Wow, in one day. That's really good.
Yeah.
Well,
probably a new
We're
record.
gonna keep 6.
so what is this week's?
You know what? Long answer, because I know you enjoy them. A lot of times when you use a plugin in a way that it's not designed to be used, you can get some really cool things. So I've mentioned this one before, but I went a little deeper this time. So it's How to Abuse Renaissance Acts by Waves.
Oh, cool. How to abuse it. Here you go.
Hey guys, I want to show you a couple of plugins that I use a lot. Both of them I've mentioned to you at various times, but I think it's important for you to see these again, because I find here lately, the last 6 months, I'm using them a lot, and a lot in combination with each other. Let's start with the Renaissance Acts. Well, let me play you this. This is a song called Sunday Island. Cool high-end information. I like to take all my high-end percussive parts and put them through an aux, and then I've got control over panning. I've got control over a lot of things, and then once I get them blended and panned and I like them, now I've got level control. And why that's important is because I like to ride that control. So, for example, I might have it a little lower in a verse. In a B section, I might add like a little vibe to it, like ride the master fader on the, not the master, but the fader on the auxiliary track. I might ride it like an eighth note, and then the choruses I might run a little louder. But it also allows me to have different sounds that somewhat come together a little bit unified. So let's start with the Renaissance Act. This was designed for guitars. I haven't talked to the guys at Waves. Watch. I mean, that's a beast, man. We're not getting that much gain. We're getting a little bit of gain. You can go nuts with this thing. The other plugin I like a lot is, I met the gentleman that invented this, real cool, smart guy. So the combination of both, I've shown you this one. This is the way I set it up. So just it by itself. Gives things a real musicality. And together we got this guy that makes it musical, and we got this guy that makes it ugly. And there you go. There you have it. How to abuse your Renaissance Acts plugin. Next time.
Our guest work so stands out when you listen to it.
Yeah.
He literally can go from Killer Mike to Moana. It is a pleasure to welcome to the place. He flew out here for us. We love that. We call him the Beast from the East, straight from Brooklyn, Mr. Joey Raia. Hey, brother.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome.
Joey.
Yeah, great to be here.
Welcome.
Great to be here.
Can I just?
What does Sammy, what's his name, do? What's the all?
Yeah, just do
Yeah, it's
anything.
free,
Just do anything.
Yeah, I got something on my mind.
Yeah.
My dear
This will
friend
be
and
first.
musical hero Bob Power said, "Sausage tastes great, but it's better not to know what goes in it." Your skill set includes designing for Apogee,
Yep.
and then mixing some great records. So, in the tradition of Bob's comment, you know what goes in the gear. How does that affect your creative side? Are you you have to forget about the gear, right?
You got to forget about it. It's also nice knowing how things work.
Yeah.
I feel like it's
you got to split it. You know, there's a thing about twisting knobs, you know, and not knowing what they do, and there's also like
I've perfected that, not knowing what they do.
You know, some of the stuff's like I like a lot of gear that has unintuitive labeling, you know, because it's just, you know, you're not afraid.
You can discover.
Yeah, you kind of discover what's going on, like some of the SPL
I hate
stuff.
gear with unintuitive labeling. It's a struggle just to work with the intuitive labeling for me.
But you know, it's also nice. You know, I've always been like that, wondering like you know how the hell does this work? You know, what makes a compressor work? And and you know, and I think like from like that standpoint, you kind of like you know, when there's especially when there's something technical to fix, you know, and knowing how things like work intimately is always a good thing to.
You know, it's interesting. I was telling him when we tape the show, we tape it on Tuesdays midday or thereabouts, late mid-afternoon. And so in the morning, I'm writing the show, and we come over and we get it going. I was delayed this morning because I started listening to his tracks, and I love aggression. And one of the things that, I don't know if it's intended or not, but there's this controlled aggression in your mixes that they're in your face, but they don't sacrifice either a vocal or a melody or whatever, but the power of it is just, is that, am I getting that close?
Yeah, great, thanks. Yeah, that's what I try to shoot for, you know. It's like,
you probably
Well, you just took this whole part of my.
So would that be your signature? Is that what you're going for?
Yeah, that's really what I'm going for. It's like, you know, it's kind of like you know, it's you feel the track first, you know, and, and the emotion behind it, you know, and like that's what you want to like translate, you know, through. But you know, on top of that, you know, you want your vocal you want to hear all the lyrics, you know, and have that in front also. So it's
your balance is so.
It's such a balanced thing, and you know.
And it felt to me now the way you described. You know, when I looked at when we both do our research separately, and you know, knowing that you design for Apogee and that kind of stuff, I felt in your mixes a certain confidence, like. I know what I'm going to do to make this do what because I understand it sort of differently, and they just felt your mixes have a swagger to them, like yeah, motherfucker. Well, I can't. Well, I could say it, but I can't
say it. Say it.
Mother hooker. Mother hooker. That's worse than what I was going to say.
HR just left the room.
Right.
You can say whatever we want.
But so when people hire you, is that what they want you to do? To records?
I think so. I think it's become my thing, and you know, it's you know, a lot of the stuff I mix has that kind of you know, that's the vibe that the track wants to put out there. You know, being like in your face and you know, aggressive and that thing, and you know, and there's a lot to do. You know, as you can imagine, there's a lot to balance with all that. You know, in terms of the lows and mids and the vocals, and a lot of times a lot of things are happening at once, so it becomes a little crazy. But
but it's also Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, New York in it.
Yeah, it's a New York thing. Yeah.
Yeah, Flatbush.
yeah. It's
absolutely.
It's part of the vibe. It's like that's where you know it's where that stuff, where that music comes from.
Love it.
On Run the Jewels 3, which is a great record, by the way, Mike and LP and the guys. When you were putting those mixes together, how did you start? And how much attention did you pay to the rough mix? Did you try to emulate it, start from a point, and take that further?
Yeah, I mean,
what's your process in terms of
with,
starting?
Specifically, like when I'm working with someone like Al, you know, things, you know, he works in Pro Tools, and you know, he likes where I take the mixes. So I usually you know, open up his session and I'll print what's there. You know, I usually print the track and then I'll print an instrumental and I'll keep that on my print track as playlists so I can flip back, and then. And I'll hear the vibe, you know, of the song and really get into the song. And then usually I like building the track without the monitor on, just with my control surface. You know,
really?
Just like kind of like.
Wait a minute, you're building the track without hearing it?
No, without seeing it.
the visual monitor.
Yeah. The speakers.
I was going to say,
that's a headline right there.
Like he mixes with no sound.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
How you doing it? Yeah, I try to build it up, and you know, and I've even gone now with you know, with a lot of stereo tracks, I found like one thing I like doing, and it helps with I think width and stuff like that, is I'll split the stereo tracks up also. So stuff that comes in, you know, stereo track or stereo synth, I'll split all those to mono, and I'll bring it up like it's on a console, you know, and pull things up. Because, you know, it's like, I think part of what, you know, with mixing in Pro Tools nowadays and whatnot, part of what you lose that you always had with a console is, you know, when you're bringing a synth up on a console, if you put both of them to zero, they're not really both at zero, right? There's always an offset. There's always, so I like just kind of pulling things up and getting the balance and getting the mix together like that. And then I'll go in. Then I usually make like some subgroups, you know, and then kind of, you know, work that way. But just getting the balance.
He's just showing off now. Her.
Yeah.
From engineer speak,
Tell me
he's
if
just showing off.
I'm close.
He's cocky.
He's cocky.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of mixing like he's on a console inside Pro Tools, but then getting the result of what you would do on a console through Pro Tools, right? It kind of, right? Like
that's the vibe, and I like mixing without starting off, you know, without the screen.
Yeah.
You know, it's part of. It's like, you know,
That's fascinating.
I made a screensaver, you know, the sizes, and I put it like on the, you know, in OS X on the hot corner. So I just roll the mouse, and the screen blacks out, and then, you know, you just kind of like, you know.
Do you find you feel the music more?
Definitely. It's crazy, but it's like, you know, it shouldn't make sense, but it does. You know, it's and you kind of wind up doing things that I think you wouldn't have, is if you're staring at it and like, you know, it's just a different.
I bet it allows you to sort of be more musical.
Yeah.
Kind of, because you're dealing with passion and what you feel and hear.
And when I have clients over, you know, and we're doing playback, I knock the screen out too.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because, you know, it's like, you know, it's like when this evolved, you know, it's like no one was staring at the tape machine, right? When they were mixing, it's like and sometimes people, you know, especially, you know. They'll be afraid of you know, they'll be, you know, playing a mix and they'll be looking instead of listening, you know, and it's like, you know, the brain can only do so much. So it's like, I think when that screen goes away, you actually hear more, you know.
I think you do, because our brains are designed. For those of you that aren't familiar, the McGurk effect, look it up, McGurk. Our brains are designed to give priority to visual. So if you're looking at something and listening to something, your brain's focusing on what you see, not what you hear. You can hear it, but it feels to me also too that you do this cool thing where you're not afraid of mono, and you use the mono to make the stereo more stereo. If everything's stereo, you don't have stereo. You just got a big mush with nothing in the middle. But you're not afraid to leave some effects and some important things that might normally be panned in the middle, and then when you pan something out, it's really, really noticeable. I like that
It just catches, you know, keeps the ear entertained. And, you know, and the power is like keeping like a lot of these tracks where you're saying like the aggression and like the kind of just like in your face, you know, that's mono. You know, that's where like your power is there. You know what I mean? And you gotta have things hitting hard mono, but then, you know, creating some depth and the stereo feel I like, and there's some good plugs now that did do some nice stereo widening, you know.
What name was it?
I like my favorite is the Dr. MS, Matthew Lane.
Yeah,
that DSP.
Matthew Lane.
That's a nice.
The one knob and the big one?
I used to use the big one, you know, because it's kind of flexible and you could kind of like control some frequencies. Also the Waves center sometimes, but the Matthew Lane I like a lot, and it's, you know, it just helps create, especially with dense tracks like the LP produced stuff, which, you know, you have a lot of synths and a lot, you know, just like, you know, being very subtle, and you have to be subtle with that stuff, you know.
An inside thing, that plugin has 4 units, 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. What the fuck do the things on the bottom do?
It's all filters and like, you know.
You actually use them?
Yeah.
Man, teach me.
Well, I had to sit down with that one because it's not the most intuitive plugin. It's just
My friend Dylan did all the presets for that.
Oh,
by
really?
The way.
Yeah.
Dylan Dresden.
It's nice for like, it's nice for synths and getting stuff like where, you know, you want to hear everything, but you don't. It's just like messing with the stereo field a little bit, you know, like, you know, not going too heavy-handed, but the subtlety with that stuff is where it's at, you know, and you could really like, and also on returns, you know, like verb returns and delays and stuff like that. It's really nice.
What do you monitor with? What are your?
I have the bare. I've always been barefoots, and I've just in the new studio. The new studio I'm in now, I just put in the biggies, the 12s,
cool.
the micro main 12s, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're nice. They drop low, yeah.
Word on the street is your studio is pretty badass, man. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, I recently moved a little bit outside the city.
Yeah.
And there it is. Yep,
Yeah.
looking good. Francis Manzella from FM Designs
nice.
did it. Yeah, the house had a guest house, and we gutted the guest house and I called Francis in, and he did the design into a proper
Gorgeous,
mix
man.
room, and he did all the rooms at Sterling that I like, and a lot of and we talked about what I liked, type of music, and so it's kind of like really tailored to.
Do you find yourself doing more ballads with all those windows?
It's I found myself definitely looking at squirrels a lot more than it's just the first it's
doing remixes on Rocky Mountain High.
Yeah, it's the first.
It's beautiful, man.
No, thanks. Yeah,
I
kind of
imagine.
kept the.
Is that water out there?
That's the Hudson River.
Oh,
yeah,
nice. So we need to come and shoot on location.
Yeah. It's MTV was there for a while when we were mixing the Run the Jewels record. When Mike and Elle were up there for the final mixes, and they shot what's going to be a documentary. It's not out yet, but there should be some good shots. But
nice, man.
But yeah, it's nice working there, and then I'm right next door to the house, and my daughter and my wife, so it's good.
Perfect.
Yeah, I could kind of eat dinner and go back to work.
Yeah.
One of the questions I get asked a lot is how to make the different elements that reside down below 100 cycles work together. You're low end, you do a lot of trap, you get a lot of things
The subs now, the subs these days are
do you have
crazy.
a technique for that, or is it just you want to hear it a certain way so bad you just brute force it there different ways?
It's how just like whatever works, But I try to pick something that is going to be the foundation, low end element, whether it's going to be like a low kick or if it's going to be an 808 or like a super low bass or whatever, and then before. A lot of times with 808s and whatnot, I don't even like touching. It's those could be dangerous if you start messing with them. Sometimes, especially these days, they're so powerful. And I've noticed even with some plugins that if you try to put the filter on 808, it'll just distort. It's like so. But I find that one of the plugs I like is the Universal Audio makes they do that IBP, the phase box, and
the Little Labs.
The Little Labs phase box, and then I'll pick what the foundation's going to be, and then I'll throw that first, just like when I'm trying to just get things a bit clearer. I'll mess around with that. Say there's an 808 that's driving, and a kick. I'll put that maybe on the kick, and then adjust that a little bit to see, because a lot of times you could gain clarity in the low end, especially below the super low end, just by nudging stuff a little bit. You know what I mean? And then
no, I don't know what you mean. But you just made my day. I'm a 180 guy, so I either flip it out of phase or not. But I never thought about the in between with the little.
What that does too is it preserves it preserved what the producer had in mind too, because they don't. It's like
enhance it too.
Yeah. Oops. Sorry.
Oh, you're okay.
Yeah. It's it'll enhance it. It'll get the clarity, and I like going that route first before I'll go in with an EQ or a compressor or stuff like that. Just to get things cleared up down there a bit.
What do you like to EQ with? Low end.
The low end.
Do you prefer like a parametric or a broadband, like a Pultec or?
The Pultec could be a little heavy sometimes if it's already beefy. Even without even cranking up a band, just the tube. Sometimes it gets a little oversaturated, I find, with some of the plugs. But I'm a big the Duende SSL strip, from SSL. I use that a lot, and Fab Filter. I'm a big fan of the Fab Filter, the Pro Q2. Yep, and also with kick and stuff. I'm a big fan of the Sonics plugins, Inflator is one of my things. You can't go heavy with it, but it's a nice little touch, to put on.
Don't mean to interrupt. I don't want to forget this. I got a technical guy on the show, a University of Miami graduate, a certified genius. Explain dither to me.
Oh God!
I know what it is.
Didn't I say no math questions? I thought. Okay.
Like, how do you? I never mess with it. I either turn it on or turn it off. Do you
I mean,
actually
nowadays,
mess with it?
now
Let
it's
me explain.
okay.
I want to catch her up to speed. It's a concept where you can add this noise to the digital sound, and it's supposed to make it better somehow. And is that right?
Yeah, that's a good.
It's supposed to
explanation.
mask artifacts, but that's like adding mud to your spaghetti sauce to make it better somehow.
Is it a plugin? Is it?
It's
have
a
it built
feature-in
in.
plug-in, so it's an
okay.
option. So
But I think
go
it's something
together.
important to us engineers, but I don't think any of us understand it.
I think nowadays it's kind of.
That's a bad statement.
Yeah.
Those of us that aren't that don't have time to research.
I mean,
it.
we're at like everything is at night is 24-bit for the most part. You know, when things were deliverable at 16, working at 24 or higher, then and you had to kind of lop off those extra resolution. It was just a way of like instead of like hard lopping it off and there being nothing there, it would kind of blur the line a bit.
talking about like at 20K or below.
Yeah, like at the bit at the bit level.
Oh,
so when you're going from like a 24-bit quantization to 16-bit, and it would just blur the line a bit so the quantization error you wouldn't hear.
Oh. So it's not a physical noise then.
It is a physical noise, but it's way down there, like at minus 144 dB. You know,
wow.
it's like,
Wow.
it's a low
I mean,
thing.
that's lower than an anechoic chamber.
Yeah.
But how can that? I mean, if you want to get off of this, I'll stop. But how can that do any good?
Because without it, you would hear more distortion. And
Would a metaphor be at the turn of the 1800s to the 1900s, whatever you call that, the Industrial Revolution? They used to use noise to mask noise.
yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, you're using like a more pleasant sounding noise, something that resembles maybe like a tape hiss, if you were able to amplify it, rather than something that's like wouldn't be pleasant sounding harmonically.
Okay, sorry.
No,
Thanks. That's great. That's got me going.
It's what
Thank you.
I
I
do with
appreciate
the
that.
but
put on headphones
yeah.
to cover the drill sound.
Yeah, yeah.
That's dinner.
I think probably 10% of our profession knows what it is and what it does and when
Now
to
a
use
lot
it.
more people know.
I think it's a good head start, you know.
So let's go to your design side. Was this just something as a kid that you enjoyed and then you turned into a career and just taking apart stuff and curious and wanting to know?
Yeah, that's exactly what I used to do. Yeah, I used to take apart everything, you know.
Because most guys like that, you can't really stop.
Oh,
yourself.
yeah. I used to like, my first car, the first thing was I yanked out the radio, all this stuff. You know, my parents were like, "What did you do?" You know, yeah. You know, I've always been into that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So, and I've always been into music. So it was kind of like the melding of the both. And
Do you play? Or do you play
I
anything?
dabble. You know,
Okay.
I'm a kind of a synth junkie.
Okay.
You know, even though. Every time people come to the studio that mix, like, oh, let me hear some of your stuff, and like it's never none of it's finished, you know.
Right,
I'll start and I'll get into it, and then like I'll start mixing a record, and then I'll never get done, you know. So, but I love analog synths, and and like old string synths and stuff like that. So it's like I mess with them as much as possible, and and records I work on, like a lot of the stuff L produces and stuff is. He's a big analog synth guy too, you know, and which is cool. And I like old tape delays, you know.
See, the thing about guys like this that are this smart is that they're also just as curious as they're smart. Like, don't you just stay curious?
Oh yeah.
And want to know stuff.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying I'm
It's
smart,
like
but I'm always like searching.
I
for
remember
something.
I finally got bought an actual Roland Space Echo, you know, and I opened the lid up and I was like, oh my God, who but who figured this shit out?
Right,
So,
right,
you know,
right,
I mean,
right,
it's like
exactly.
it's just like I mean, just there was a point where like someone had to take out a piece of paper and say, this is what we're going to do. And
Right.
it's just, you look at that thing and it's like, oh my God, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like one of the best, I mean, it's one of the most creative delay tools out there. I love it so much, you know. It's just like, it's
During
amazing.
my poor days, I made a living replacing the tape in those things.
Last week.
How'd you know?
Hey man, I'm your manager during our 4 days.
I was wondering why you were asking for a commission on that.
Well, the thing that you remind me of, or see if you see the correlation, we did a Boston event last year from Isotope's headquarters.
Oh, cool.
And so we're speaking to the team, and almost all of them were musicians. And the questions we were receiving were kind of like the ones that they were all theoretical, questioning, curious, where could they go, where could they push the envelope, and it felt like more a hotbed of creativity surrounded by tech than just tech for tech's sake, right? There was sort of a search going on, do you think?
I think so, and to amplify on that a little bit, our profession at one time was populated by people that did make their own stuff. Like most of the engineering world worships anything from EMI during the Beatles era, and that was all stuff that was made in-house by a couple of geniuses. And I don't think it's necessary, but it certainly is fun to catch a fish with a lure you made yourself.
Yeah,
It certainly is fun to have a successful record with something you either modified or made yourself.
Yep.
So you take all this aggression, all this curiosity, all this design stuff, and then Disney calls and says, Moana. So you bring all that to it in a different kind of way? Or?
It's a different headspace when I work on Disney. So mostly I'm doing recording for them. On Moana, I did a mix. They had a hip hop mix. Illmind produced one of the tracks on that soundtrack, and they had me mix that one because that's kind of in my wheelhouse. So, but it's cool. I'm kind of like their New York guy.
Nice.
They're mostly out here.
That's a great gig.
Yeah. So whenever, and they have a lot of talent they work with in New York. So
absolutely.
I find myself at Avatar a lot, cutting and stuff like that, doing recording and stuff like, and it's great. It's different fun, and it's cool. It's
How many 808s were on Frozen?
a lot. No, I'm just kidding.
I remember
some
sampling
child
a few.
banging to that just the other day.
Yeah.
It's like a 6-year-old was just throwing
But
it
you
down.
know what? All kidding aside, Disney makes great records for the people that want Disney records.
Disney.
Nobody
Oh, man,
can touch
Disney
those.
is a
it's-
monster.
Like
It's
they,
everywhere.
I don't know if this is true. We'll have to ask Pharrell, but they
Disney's a monster.
They do it right.
they
Everything
wanted,
is.
they wanted
is
their
done.
version of Happy. You know?
They
Yep.
do it right.
I don't know if
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
true, but
Yeah,
There's a
everything
reason
is-
they're the leading
Everything is
studio in the
authentic as can be. And if
They're serious about it.
Oh yeah. If they have to. If there's a group vocal and that group vocal happens to be in Fiji, they'll fly to Fiji to record it.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah. it's
Yeah, they go get it done.
they get it done right.
That's why they call it the mouse that roars.
when you're just sitting at home with a rare day off, do you work on gear? Do you write a song? Do you look at videos? What do you do?
No days
That's a
off.
Barbara Walters question.
If I have free time now, I usually run and hang with my daughter. She's 2.5.
What's her name?
Alessandra.
Alessandra. Hey, Dad's on. Dad's on.
But no, I like the wealth of knowledge in YouTube is kind of ridiculous.
It's addictive.
And I
actually.
always try to I find with the amount of plugins, which are all a lot of great stuff coming out now, and then with the speed we have to work with, like with turnarounds, I find like you never really get to learn your plugin like as good as you should. It's always to learn the hell out of like every actual really delve in. Sometimes I'll try to do that, just really like get into something
Just
and
dive in deep.
dive in deeper and really
Given the way your makeup is, that has to be. You're not
It's
happy
curious,
till you get to that point.
And I find like once you do that too, you just wind up getting better at it.
Yeah, of course.
Because now it's like you open up your plugin folder and it's just like it scrolls off the screen and it's and it's great, but it's
So
you could probably limit. It's like I'm gonna do a challenge. I was just talking to a friend of mine about that, just like limiting, just as like a challenge type of thing, like pick like 3 EQs or compressor and just I'm sure you can get it done and a reverb, but you'll wind up like really getting in there and figuring how to tweak it to get the
Absolutely
sound you want.
Now, did I hear you say you went to University of Miami?
Yep.
Oh, he's got to do Amplified Miami. We're going to do a lot of it in Miami. in the
Oh,
fall.
awesome.
Yeah.
Fall's good for
Management
Miami.
Come to talk to you because you'd be incredible on the panel.
No, it's great. That was a great
Would you
great
be up
spot
for
to
that?
learn. Yeah,
Potentially?
definitely.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I usually do it at the end of the show, but it just struck me. I'm locking him in early, so.
And I worked at Criteria in the old days out there
Okay,
too.
cool.
Yeah.
So you know a lot of Miami folks. do you follow the business of music as well too, or do you just sort of stay on the creative side?
How so?
Just
like sales
like when I
and
think not that specifically, but kind of like the state of hip hop, for instance. What's your sense of it and where it is and where it's going?
yeah, I think hip hop is going strong. You know, it's like it's especially like these days with with the politicalness going
It's a
on.
time for
it's
musical
like
artists,
there's a people looking for a voice. You know,
Yes.
kids looking for a voice, and and they're ready for it. You know,
Yeah.
so I think it keeps getting better and better.
And to watch what's happened with Killer Mike, man.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's
Just
great.
what an amazing dude.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Give us the thumbnail on give us Joey's take on Killer Mike. Because we need to meet him. He needs to be on the show.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm a political junkie,
Yep.
and I find my contribution. What I find is beyond his brilliance, his authenticity and his willingness to sort of speak truth to power.
Yep.
Is just. It almost makes you relax. Like,
Yep.
oh my God, somebody who stands up and just says what he feels, but in
Yep.
a thoughtful way.
Yep.
Am I close?
Yeah, you said it all. Yeah, yeah. I wish I got to hang with him more. You know, you know, I saw him during some of the mixing, and I just saw him. Those guys played 4 sold-out shows in a row in New York at Terminal 5. It was, and I went to the first show with Joe LaPorta. I know you guys know him, yeah. And it was just like insane. The kid, I mean, everyone knowing every word to every song from all the records, you know. And it's like, but he's great, you know. He's those guys are the real deal, you know. And they speak, but they rap what they believe in, and they're right out there.
What was interesting, because when I was listening to your tracks, I was listening to stuff he was on either in Run the Jewels or by himself, and the power of your mixes just accentuated the power of his words, and it just made me sort of stop. And I was going, you know, I'll check a couple and scan through, and I was like, track 9, track 17. I just kept going through. And so, but to your point, I think that when we're in the kind of times that we're in, it's a time for musical artists to speak and voices to be heard. And when you take that kind of poetry and you're able to illuminate things for people on either side of the aisle, it's an amazing.
Yeah, and when you go to, like, I try to go to shows as much as I can, and it doesn't happen. Going out and seeing these guys, and you know, and listening to a record that you mixed, and just seeing the feedback from the people at the show, you realize how important the records are you're making. You know, it's just like I mean, the place was jammed, like I said, sold out. You know, it's a huge venue, and people were elated, you know, to be there and really feeling it and supporting. Yeah, so it's good.
We tell people
it's
all
good
the
feeling,
time,
you know,
that you guys sit, or at least we talk in our talks, at the intersection of art and commerce. Like, if you don't do your job well, the other things don't happen.
Yeah.
And you have much more power than you think. Chongor, you got some questions over for our guests?
We got some good ones. This first one is from Armex.
From who?
From Armex.
Oh, cool. Was he at dinner with us last night?
No.
No, okay, cool.
If you went back to designing audio products, how would your experience of mixing and engineering translate into the kind of gear you would make today?
Heavy.
It's heavy.
That's a
Yeah.
good question.
Yeah.
You guys to ask less heavy. Armax, you're heavy.
And it was about what would I change or what would I do?
How would engineering, how would the experience you took from engineering and mixing translate into the gear you would make today?
Oh, if I had if I went back into designing anything, and you know, for making records, I would think you know, tactile stuff. You know, I think, you know, in the world of like what would be great and what's missing maybe is like kind of more, you know, Slate's been doing a good job at like bringing it home and like, you know, but you know, being able to the next level of mixing with Pro Tools, or you know, in the box, but having a hands-on feel, because it's still like very, you know, important. It's for me it is. It's like I love it, and you know, when you have to strictly limit it to mouse, and it's horrible.
Different.
Yeah.
Do you ever think there'll be a point when humans won't be involved in the mix process, but
we'll all be
software
dead.
or robots might be? You think that's possible?
Not with mixing. I would never. You know, I mean, maybe it's the end time though. You know, maybe it's like
The show just ended.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, I know. I know.
The audio singularity.
I know. Oh yeah, good book. You know, it's a scary book. We're good, but it's like I mean, I know with my process and the clients I have, there's just too much back and forth that goes on, like in terms of like building the track. Usually, after I do like after I do a first pass mix, and what I hope to have happen is the producer hears it where I took it or what I did with it, and that sparks another little creative production thing where they might do a little tweak, and and that comes back, and then so there's it's never like here it is, do this, spit it out. It's usually there's a lot of interaction and back and forth that goes on, which is I think what in mixing is why there are mixers, because a lot of producers now are good with Pro Tools, and they could certainly do things themselves, but I think part of the whole mixing paradigm is like someone hands it off because they want to give their brain and their ears a break.
Changor didn't mean to hijack your segment there, buddy. Sorry. Is he a robot?
He might be a robot. No.
Just take
But then it comes back, so it's like the back and forth. It's like I think it's I can't see the robot.
Matter.
Yeah, human lives matter.
Absolutely. Changor, give us another one.
This one's from Joey C. How do you handle receiving a session where the producer has a mix, they like it, but they want you to take it one step further?
I can't wait to hear this one.
Just do it.
I just do that then, I just do. I mean, it's like the way I treat mixes coming in from producers, especially with the people I work with now, is if it's things usually sound the way in the ballpark as they want things to sound. So if but there are with your ears things that could be. There's improvement that can happen in the low and high end where the vocals are so there's ways to take what they gave you and leave that general vibe in place, but bring it, like what you said, to the next level without reinventing the wheel, without remixing the song, which is never what I like to do. Usually I treat a mix with that comes in from a producer with respect. I mean, they're trusting you to take this thing home, right? So they've worked hard on the sounds and dug for them and got this snare and this kick, and the last thing they want is for you to, go heavy-handed in there and So yeah, it's just kind of like and a lot of back and forth, but there's definitely ways of doing that and keeping that intact.
You got another one?
Yeah, you'll know this last one. This one's from Charlie Zaffariz.
Oh yeah.
How long does ice cream stay afloat in root beer?
Oh, I love root beer floats too.
Yeah, I haven't had one in a while.
root beer floats.
You just turned into a 6-year-old. That's amazing. You just...
5.
Oh, sorry.
And I saw that one this morning, I think, too, and it cracked me up because that was, and I don't remember the song or whatnot, but that was I mixed a record for that guy once, 12 years ago or 4, and that was some line in there some rap line in there that cracked me up so much, and like he happened to be, and it was a guest vocalist I think on his record, and I just lost it, and it's so funny that this thing popped up today for questions, and I see that I'm like,
unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a good laugh.
Your fame
At room temperature, 49 minutes.
All right, Florida boy.
It does sound good though. Yeah.
Florida boy. You got batter's box.
I do. I'm ready. I dropped my phone.
man.
You're an athlete, though. I have a feeling.
No,
Work out a bunch.
A little bit.
Yeah, I can tell. All right, so knock him out the park. I mean, I'm on his side, but you know what I'm saying. All right, you ready?
You mean my side?
Yeah. Of course. Where else could it be?
Just check the phone out there.
All right, tee it up. Here we go.
Ready. Piano.
Maggie Q.
Ooh.
Bass.
LA2A. Sorry, bad.
That's good, Herb. He's good.
Yeah, he's good.
808, snare.
SSL channel strip.
Me too. Lead vocals.
Maggie Q parallel 1176.
He's showing off her horns.
Never.
550. Oh yeah, yeah. Right. I do a lot of horns. Just like a lot of this last record, there were horns in too, and it was like you know.
That's
But the
disappointing.
550 is nice, and with the and I like the UAD plates, like you know.
Oh yeah, plates and horns.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of plates, reverb.
Oxford.
Really?
Yeah.
Delay.
Echo Boy but I've been messing with that repeater plugin that just came out. I think it was a Slate like a repeater.
Is it good?
But Echo Boy, yeah, it's really good. It's good filters on it. But the Echo Boy is great, and also Timeless 2, the Fab filter. It's another
Yeah,
great.
that bottom part's.
Yeah.
Strings.
Maggie Q and the Fab filter Saturn for some harmonic
Good,
stuff.
Herb. He's showing off again. Stereo bus.
I go outboard, you know, still, and I'm a Tonic EQ, 500 series in the Dangerous compressor.
Oh, okay.
You know, and sometimes and I like the on the Oxford limiter. There's an enhanced thing that I edge up sometimes, just a little bit, but you know, the stereo bus is like and the Dangerous back CQ too is nice, you know. But I try not to, like, I've been low end wise. I usually don't. I feed things through a separate bus. Like I try not to compress. I mean, I used to sidechain the hell out of the compressor, and you know, but with the lows now, I find that you know I subgroup all the low, all the 808s and that kind of stuff, and that feeds after everything else that's being compressed. So I kind of try to leave that alone. You know, it's the only way to get it to really knock.
Okay. Only the equipment that's in the desk we saw in the photograph behind us. If your studio caught fire, which piece of gear would you rescue?
The Vitalizer classics, classic Vitalizers.
Pin drop.
There you go.
I surrender.
There you go. I think we should almost say goodnight. We're good.
No, I can't yet. I got to have an explanation of his stereo bus thing with where the bass goes something different.
Can we do that on air? Or
Will the FCC allow it?
if it can be done in like 2 minutes before we're thinking.
Explain what you just said.
Oh, well, picture like a stereo.
So all your
all my low stuff, like sub lows, you know.
okay, it's not going through any of the processing the other stuff on the stereo bus is.
No.
Oh, so it goes straight.
Sometimes it'll go through some select different processing, but it won't go through any of the compressing, like my outboard bus compressor and stuff like that. And then it'll on my print bus, I'll feed everything going through that, everything, you know, through the low end bus with that and kind of sum it up.
Yep.
Yeah, just because I feel like the less you hit the 808s with any kind of compression, the best. You know, I kind of want to really leave that, and I don't want that to pull anything else, you know, in the mix. Because sometimes with the sidechain, even with an aggressive sidechain filter, you know, you'll still see the compressor kicking in when some of the, especially like when all of a sudden, you know, you have a big attack of sub lows, which
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, by the way.
Yeah,
That's real cool.
you know, it's the only way to really get it to the subs to hit hard without like
Anything you
messing
do
with
on the
anything else.
stereo bus is the enemy of true low end. And
Yeah.
clear low end. It's,
Yeah.
it's a battle we fight.
Tell us
stuff.
about Bob Clearmountain. And
Oh, it's great. Yeah,
I mean, amazing, right?
yeah, it was great. Like when I was at Apogee working, you know, he's closely involved with that.
Sure.
So it was a great, you know, it's part of why I went there. You
Yeah.
know, and that was a great company. I loved working with them, and I was also, you know, you'd work on building something, and then you'd go over to the Bob studio when he was done with his session and try it out, and he would listen. So it was like, you know, it was kind of like just it was an amazing opportunity.
How long did you do that? For how long?
5 or 6 years.
Oh, really?
I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
were there.
Yeah.
You watched the company grow and change.
Oh
all
yeah,
that stuff.
yeah.
for sure.
It was great, you know. And Bob is, you know, Bob is great, a great engineer to talk to stuff. You know.
He's on Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
In the 90s, the difference between an affordable converter and the best was about this big. It feels to me like right now the gap between the less expensive one and the most expensive one is only about this big. Is that true?
Not really. I mean,
really.
I think it is.
Things have
gap is
definitely
way
gotten better,
smaller.
you know, just because the companies I think have been integrating more stuff like into the ICs and
I'm not
whatnot.
talking about Apogee, I'm talking about just the world.
Yeah, it's you know, the IC companies have made it easier for other companies to like, but you know, a lot of analog design goes into what happens like before these
Exactly.
chips and
Yeah.
after the chips.
I think that's where the difference is.
That's where the
mostly.
difference is, you know, and your power supplies and how you treat your power supply. You know, a lot of these boxes are making a lot of noise inside, so it's just, you know, there's a lot to deal with, and that's where your differences come. You know, a lot of your differences come.
So those differences would be minuscule, right?
Well, it's, you know, it's things.
I see you're not letting this go at all. You're passionate about this question.
Let me tell my audience: if you gotta trust somebody, trust.
If you do an AB,
Trust
you'll hear
Joey.
a difference. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
it's definitely definitely there.
So we've already committed you to future live events with Pensado. Was
Nice.
this relatively painless? You got.
Oh, yeah.
I hate that you had to sit by me for an hour.
No, it was great.
Good. You were great.
No, absolutely, and you have a lot more to give. That's for sure. So, so we got to have you back. It'd be real interesting to do something from your studio.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we do something on location or something.
that'd be great.
Have a conversation,
Yeah.
give us a tour or something. It'd be
Oh
really
man,
cool.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah, no,
Yep.
let's figure that out. And
Let's
some
do an ITL on the differences between converters. And,
You guys should do an ITL. You guys should do an exclusive ITL.
I know.
That'd be really great. We'll talk to you about
on
that.
something else other than
Shout
that.
outs to Jeremiah and Colin and stuff. And
Yeah.
we happened to be at a Manny American event, and your management was on top of it and said boop. And we were on the email the next day, and we were like, done.
Nice,
Cool.
nice.
Hell
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, glad to
Yeah,
get.
absolutely. So
get to
commission
right here.
check coming to you. That's a good thing. His management's out there smiling. So, man, what a pleasure.
Yeah,
I mean,
awesome.
Straight up pleasure. We are so thrilled to
stuff.
have you. Dave, take us home.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about that.
It'll be one of your better ones then.
Okay. You know what? We were talking earlier, Joe and myself, and I think you guys should spend a little bit of time getting at least a rudimentary knowledge of the equipment that you use. I think it is an asset. You don't need to know the physics of the internal combustion engine to drive a NASCAR, but it doesn't hurt. And I think that there's something enjoyable about knowing, not everything, because I don't know everything, but enough to where you respect the people that put the time in to create it, and you can talk to them about it on a level they understand. So ponder that, and we'll see you next week.
He's the beast from Brooklyn. Bye.